Superman issue 10, legacy number 853. This is Joshua Williamson and Bruno Redondo on art. So we'll get into this. So I don't know how to feel, right? Because I was super like rolling my eyes at the end of the last issue of like, oh, he's in the Wild West now. He's went back in time. And part of the reason why I was rolling my eyes is because I thought, oh, is this going to be a whole arc? And so the reason why I'm conflicted here is, on the one hand, they're back in present day by the end of the issue. It was a one-issue thing. So on one hand, I should be quite positive about that. But on the other hand, I also feel like not enough happened that it felt like it justified even bothering to do it in the first place. So
yeah, why? Besides wanting to draw Western Superman, which I get, like, cool, it's a vibe. I don't get it. Like,
yeah,
it was such an unnecessary, like, what's the word? Like,
tangent.
when you go off the beat, yeah, tangent, I guess. Or it's like when you go off like on a road trip and you end up like taking a side road for nothing.
A detour is the word you're looking for.
Yeah, there we go. Thank you. It was an unnecessary detour.
I think the purpose in the story only really amounts to the idea that Superman had to be missing while something mysterious happens back at Supercorp. Because we get this tease at the start where the alarms start going off when Lois and Mercy and Lena are looking for where Superman disappeared to, right? And then we don't see him a whole issue because we're back in the Wild West. And when we come back at the end, there's this tease of, oh, something bad went down here. And it's only... Is it Lena that's left at the end? I'm still on the first page, but yeah. So it's like, oh, next issue, find out what happened in this time span. So the only real purpose is to keep Superman away and unaware of what's going on. Now, maybe some of the things that happened in the past is going to be important. I mean, we still have these two creepy kids and the mother who seem to be villains.
Right. It seemed to be Dr. Farm and...
That's the obvious assumption. It's Farm and Graft, yeah.
Right. And there's that, and then, there's this thing with Marilyn Moonlight where there's this lady that's seeing it all go down, and Clark looks at her and is like, do you think you just inspired yourself? So there's more in her. I do like the idea of that character of this pulpy Metropolis that still doesn't make sense to me because Metropolis is firmly on the eastern seaboard. It makes no sense why it looks like an old western town, but whatever. But you know what I mean? Like,
they just wanted a western, man. That's all.
Yeah,
it is. It's the same with Gotham. Gotham's meant to be in that part of the country as well, and yet you have All-Star Western and like books like that are set in Gotham back in the day.
Right. But like, I just so I like the idea of Marilyn Moonlight being this old pulpy, defender of Metropolis before Superman's even thought of. So it's playing with some fun things there, and like the whole...
Well, let's get into that, because we learned some things here, is that she was done. She died. Yeah. Like, she had her time as a hero, seemingly in this old Western time period, because we see what seems to be a younger version of her that she inspires to go and, be who she is. And it's Farm and Graft doing experiments on her to reanimate her that brought her back. But she only exists when there's moonlight. It doesn't seem to affect her in the past, maybe because her real living version is also there at the same time.
Yeah.
But in present day, as soon as they get back to present day and the sun's out, she just fades away, and Superman makes a promise to help her find out, or solve why she's back and deal with the people who did it. Yada yada yada.
And poetically, the idea that Superman's charged by the sun and he's he is the sunlight that spreads across the land, and the fact that she's moonlight, I do like that. That they seem to be opposites, almost like if it wasn't for Lois, almost like a doomed romance kind of thing. He can only be out in the sun, she can only be in the moon. There's that kind of dynamic. So, but yeah, this is such a weird issue. Like, I still trying to make heads and tails of it. A lot of fun action though. Like they do some. They're still on the train in this one, right? We get the train going through town.
There's no real train stuff. It's they're already in the town, and there's this villain at the saloon who's got a laser pistol.
That's correct. Yeah, it's Terror Man.
Terror Man, yeah.
Me.
Who Clark basically challenges to a duel, and we get that play out. Superman gets hit, but he's not at full strength yet. He's still bulletproof.
Yep.
And is able to win at that point. I mean, the art's very good. Like, if nothing else, obviously it's Bruno Redondo on the art. Everything's gorgeous. Terror Man trying to like get away in his little like hovercraft thing, and Marlon Moonlight lassoing him. Like, all that stuff looks great, right? Like, I can't fault the art. I can't fault the visuals.
No, especially that first visual, right? It looks like from an old Western movie, like Stagecoach. You know, they're going across this barren landscape, you know, and it's Clark on his white horse and Marilyn Moonlight on her moonlight horse, and just the way that they're in the center of the screen and the rolling hills in the back and stuff. It really sets the mood. And then when you get to the end and Superman's back in current times, and he goes around and cycles around the planet, to me those shots are very similar. It's just the whole setting the tone of what's going on here and kind of what the bigger picture is. So yeah, Redondo's killing it on the art. I just wish the story kind of was on par.
Also, it seems like the mother or grandmother of the kids that we think are farming graft was a villain in this time period, because one of the panels of Marlon Moonlight fighting a bad guy is fighting this woman who's in a tank of some kind. So that's a thing there. But she mentions that she grew old, she died with family surrounding her, and then someone reanimated her like Frankenstein, but she's only existing in the moonlight. So I mean, that's an interesting bit of backstory. Like, I'm okay with that. But like, I maybe that's the main purpose of this more than anything else, is just to fill in some of Marlon Moonlight stuff, which, I guess it's fine in that sense. I think the actual plot of when they're in the West, which is just Terror Man, and it all just like being, oh, let's go and get him at the saloon, let's have a duel, let's catch him, that's it, it's over, he had the device that'll let us get back home. That I find very underwhelming. I think the teases of Marlon Moonlight are fine, but everything with the actual villain and the plot of what they're doing in the past is just kind of but like you said, the gorgeous art, particularly when he gets back to present day and he's flying around the earth and he's saving the cat and whatever else. Yeah,
he's doing like Superman stuff. Is what you think about when he's helping put out the fire with the fire department, and he's saving the cat from a tree for a little girl. And just the way that Redondo draws him going around, it's very reminiscent of the Superman movie, right? Of him flying around the planet. So, yeah. But yeah, so when he hands it back at Supercorps and Lena's there, he gets knocked out by a kryptonite grenade, right? And it's the Lex Luthor Revenge Squad with the Chain, Farm, and Graft, and then someone in a Lex Luthor armor whose face is hidden. So I think that's an interesting that they're using Lex's stuff.
Yeah, that'll be a reveal. I mean, I think even before we get to that, though, there's a bit of tension as he comes in and he doesn't hear anyone. He's like shouting for Lois and Mercy, and no one's answering. And then Lena comes running out and sort of says fly away because she knows he's in danger. And that's when the kryptonite grenade comes out. So yeah, apparently we're going to get Lena Luthor versus the Revenge Squad next issue. Yeah. So I don't know. Like, I'm very middling on this run. Thus far, art's very good here, but I find myself just not loving the creative choices. Like I either like, because I think the whole problem with the Western stuff in this issue is that not only do I feel like if this is all it was going to be, it seems like it wasn't worth the time. Obviously, I know we went on to say, oh, it teases some of this Marlon Moonlight stuff and it gets her to open up to Superman, but that's kind of my problem, is that after the tease of her looking at herself in the past, it's just her explaining it all to Superman. It's not actually a story that plays out in the past that slowly reveals parts of it. Right.
And I almost would have preferred like Superman having to lay low. Like, he's not supposed to be in the past, right? So he has to watch this all unfold, which for someone like Superman, that's very hard for him to do. Just let things happen, right? And that would add some tension and some, beyond tension, it adds some real character work to him. But
I mean,
yeah,
they loosely mention that he can't affect the past, but all that really boils down to is I won't wear my outfit because no one can recognize that in the future.
Right.
So he goes about in cowboy outfits, and that's fine, and that's all it takes.
Right.
I guess the argument is because he's interacting with another time traveler who shouldn't be there anyway.
Right.
That it's fine for him to intervene, but yeah, it's kind of wild that it almost feels like the teaser at the end of last issue with the train, it was kind of pointless because he had to come and talk to this villain anyway. So he could have just came and I don't know. There's just lots of things here that feel like they're like he wanted to do the Western thing and he wanted some key moments from Westerns.
Well, yeah, and I talked myself into Superman in the West, and you had the two hot characters there too, right? Like, and they're not here in this issue like at all.
Oh yeah, I forgot about them. Wow, where were they in this issue?
Right. So I just figured we'd set like this kind of tone for almost like, let's say Williamson wanted to do like a little 3-story Marilyn Moonlight thing.
Yeah,
in the future.
I just completely forgot they were at the end of that last issue in the past, and I never even thought about it again because it's forgettable, so I forgot about it. Where the hell are they in this issue? Why was that not mentioned at all?
Right. Well, and also, like, unless I missed something, how does the time travel here work? How does Clark get back to modern times?
Don't they mention something about stealing a device from a Terror Man?
Is it from Terror Man?
That was the whole point, yeah. Like his hovercraft thing had something in it. Because he's time traveling already anyway, so he's got time travel tech.
Sure.
Yeah, they do loosely explain that. That's not a...
Okay. What I'm saying, it would be par for the course at this point. Yeah, he's wearing one of the things that he was. It's like a wrist thing.
Yeah. That was in there. That was in there.
But yeah, we get away from the train to get to that beautiful opening here, and like they're not touched on at all. I figured Williamson would have a lot of fun with some of the Old West characters. Like, we would get Jonah Hex or Batlatch or some of these characters showing up to kind of set the tone for the Old West of the DC. And nothing like that happens. And it kind of just feels like it's nice that we got the Marilyn Moonlight stuff, but the Terror Man plot doesn't seem to really do much. And like you said at the beginning, this is all just to get Superman out of the way so the Revenge Squad can do what they need to do.
Yeah, and like I say, like the tease of if the Marilyn Moonlight stuff had just been her looking at herself and Clark noticing that, and it had been left there, and her saying, "No, I'm not," like you don't need to know anything about me, and it was still just a tease at this point. I think that would have been fine, just in the sense that it wouldn't have felt, because as it is, she just goes on to explain pretty much everything to him, and it comes out of nowhere. And I don't think they're at a point in their relationship where she would feel like she could tell him everything. Like, it's not like they went on some adventure here where they bonded and like he's earned her trust because he had to really look out for her here. Like, this adventure in the West was barely an adventure as far as we've read.
It feels like he was there for 18 hours.
Yeah, if that.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, so it doesn't feel like they've had enough time to bond, that she wants to spill her entire life story to him.
Yeah.
So it feels a little disingenuous when you get to that point. And even at that, if you ignore that, she is still just telling him all this rather than actually giving us like more, I don't know, more natural, more natural kind of unfolding it during the story.
Like it would have been cool to see like him being that guy in the town that wouldn't back down from the town bully, and that kind of inspires Marilyn Moonlight. So there's this weird paradox of Marilyn Moonlight being inspired by Superman. So no matter what he does, he still inspires them, and we kind of get that, right? Because of Marilyn Moonlight kind of inspiring herself. But it's just, I don't know. I feel like there's better ways to go about it, where they can, they always say, show, don't tell. And this comes down to Marilyn Moonlight just telling him everything.
Yeah.
So,
So it's not the worst issue in the run, but
no.
it's far from
It was
great
one of the ones
either.
that in the moment I was fine reading it, and then when I stopped to think about it before I went to read whatever comic I was reading next, I went, wait, what the hell did I just read? And then when you process it, you start to notice all these things. So, but I feel like that happens when I read Williamson a lot. Like I get really into what I'm reading, and then I forget to be critical of it until, it's time. And then when you're looking at it critically, the warts and stuff really start to show.
Yeah. Uh, yeah, it's a mediocre issue. I, 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 I can absolutely see someone reading this and just not thinking about it much and just being fine with it because it's lightly entertaining. But that's really the best thing I could probably say about it, to be honest, at this point. What are you rating Superman, Matt?
I'm gonna give this a 6.5.
Yeah, just. Yeah, just a 6 for me. It's. It's not terrible to read or anything like that. The art's very nice. That's getting a lot of credit. But, yeah, I can't really put it too much above that just flat positive line.